Okay, so in this video we're just going to have a look into what CrowdInspect actually looks like within the GUI itself, what everything within it means, and how it reacts when under the presence of actual malware. So first got the live versus history tab. So this is obviously the live feed at the moment of all the processes that are running on the machine. The history tab will normally flag up events that CrowdInspect believes the user needs to analyse further. For example, the moment the first malicious process is detected, it will normally flag it up here, but it depends on the operating system and the version. Obviously, the pause button obviously just pauses the live feed, so you can get a quick snapshot of the system and have a look, conduct any further analysis you need to. What if a malicious process pops up? You can specify or hide the TCP connections or the UDP connections. Just show the bare Windows processes running that are running. You show the full path to the process, which is a good way to capture any suspicious processes that might be held under a different directory. For example, SVC host is always going to be under system32. If it was under any other directory, you'd know it's probably a suspicious process, or malicious, should I say. Kill process does what you'd expect. Select any process and use that to kill off the connection and the process on the machine completely. You can close TCP connection, which would just shut down that particular TCP connection. The properties tab obviously just gives a bit more in-depth information about each process according to the type of process that it is. VT results is grayed out because we don't have a connection to the VirusTotal server, but what that would show against each process, it would show the VirusTotal API and all the services that run on it, all the anti-malware services, including a SHA-256 hash that you can use against the VirusTotal database if you wanted more information, and it'll show, each service will show whether or not it's been flagged up as a malicious process in the past. Copy all just copies the text from this interface that you can then copy into Notepad and get out any sort of, you can copy out a domain name or an IP address for further analysis. About just tells you a bit more about the tool itself, about the manufacturer, about the operating systems, the versions, how it detects thread injection, so how it does that, how it scores that, each API, VirusTotal, malware hash repository, web of trust, where they're available from, how they're scored as well. Obviously it's slightly different between the three of them. And then we've got obviously the columns here listed by process name by default, just to make it easier for the user. Then we've got process ID, which is obviously quite a key one if you want to check that against Task Manager or another service like Procmon. Inject shows whether or not, green shows whether or not it's been injected, whether it's been scanned as injected. Obviously green and OK mean it's fine, it's not injected. Question mark or grayed out just means it hasn't been scanned yet, or it can't be scanned in the instance of the CrowdInspect process itself. VirusTotal is obviously grayed out because we've not had it's not connecting to the server at all. Malware hash repository and web of trust aren't showing anything as there's no malicious instances or events that have triggered them yet. This columns are obviously specifying either UDP or TCP connection and the state of the connection, either listening or established. The local port and local IP show obviously the source port and IP address of each connection. It can change between your actual IP address or your loopback or the specific NIC, for example, if it's a virtual machine. Remote port and remote IP are the source IP and ports that the connection is running on. So in this instance, Firefox is running through port 1076 and 1075, and it'll also show the domain name if it can resolve it from that IP, which can again be used for further analysis. So I'll just load up some malware and we'll see how CrowdInspect copes with it. Okay, so we can see straight away this new boss 2.exe is flagged up from the malware hash repository as suspicious. So the two scales, the scale of the malware hash repository's scoring is either grayed out, so it's either not not malicious, or it's been flagged up as malicious. So you see the grey or red. It's obviously not injected through itself or any other process that the CrowdInspect can show us here. But what it is showing is a different kind of connection. So it's sending SYN packages through through port 80 to this IP, which gives us a domain name. It's quite useful because again we can copy out all, or shall I say pause? Oh no, unpause that. Yeah. So we pause, copy all, go to Notepad again. So this just, we can quickly do this in real time while it's picking up these connections, and then we've got straight away this malicious domain name here that we can check, or if we can check if it's malicious through some third-party or open source IP resolution tool. For example, Tech Defense have their own called Automator, which is a Python script and can tell you the source of the domain name, so where it's from. It's obviously its IP address, but we can already get that from CrowdInspect, whether it's blacklisted at all. And yeah, you can just use it to get any further information that you need. So obviously there, Web of Trust has flagged that up. Web of Trust has a different scoring system, so the higher the percentage, the better the reputation of the process. So obviously 60% flagged up as yellow there. Any lower down percentage would have been orange, and then through to red, the same as malware hash repository. And virus total obviously not showing anything because we don't have a connection to the server, but that's normally the first one that would flag up alongside malware hash repository, as opposed to disappearing with Web of Trust.